the new God of justice, the new gods of justice, the new God of justice, the new goddess of justice, the new goddesses of justice, the new goddess of justice, the old God of justice, the old gods of justice, the old God of justice, the old goddess of justice, the old goddesses of justice, the old goddess of justice, the greater God of justice, the greater gods of justice, the greater God of justice, the greater goddess of justice, the greater goddesses of justice, the greater goddess of justice, the lesser God of justice, the lesser gods of justice, the lesser God of justice, the lesser goddess of justice, the lesser goddesses of justice, the lesser goddess of justice, the higher God of justice, the higher gods of justice, the higher God of justice, the higher goddess of justice, the higher goddesses of justice, the higher goddess of justice, the lower God of justice, the lower gods of justice, the lower God of justice, the lower goddess of justice, the lower goddesses of justice, the lower goddess of justice, the greater spirit of justice, the greater spirits of justice, the greater spirit of justice, the lesser spirit of justice, the lesser spirits of justice, the lesser spirit of justice, the higher spirit of justice, the higher spirits of justice, the higher spirit of justice, the lower spirit of justice, the lower spirits of justice, the lower spirit of justice, the major God of justice, the major gods of justice, the major God of justice, the major goddess of justice, the major goddesses of justice, the major goddess of justice, the minor God of justice, the minor gods of justice, the minor God of justice, the minor goddess of justice, the minor goddesses of justice, the minor goddess of justice, the superior God of justice, the superior gods of justice, the superior God of justice, the superior goddess of justice, the superior goddesses of justice, the superior goddess of justice, the inferior God of justice, the inferior gods of justice, the inferior God of justice, the inferior goddess of justice, the inferior goddesses of justice, the inferior goddess of justice, the ancestor God of justice, the ancestor gods of justice, the ancestor God of justice, the ancestor goddess of justice, the ancestor goddesses of justice, the ancestor goddess of justice, the ascendant God of justice, the ascendant gods of justice, the ascendant God of justice, the ascendant goddess of justice, the ascendant goddesses of justice, the ascendant goddess of justice, the descendant God of justice, the descendant gods of justice, the descendant God of justice, the descendant goddess of justice, the descendant goddesses of justice, the descendant goddess of justice, the transcendent God of justice, the transcendent gods of justice, the transcendent God of justice, the transcendent goddess of justice, the transcendent goddesses of justice, the transcendent goddess of justice, the past God of justice, the past gods of justice, the past God of justice, the past goddess of justice, the past goddesses of justice, the past goddess of justice, the present God of justice, the present gods of justice, the present God of justice, the present goddess of justice, the present goddesses of justice, the present goddess of justice, the future God of justice, the future gods of justice, the future God of justice, the future goddess of justice, the future goddesses of justice, the future goddess of justice, the authentic God of justice, the authentic gods of justice, the authentic God of justice, the authentic goddess of justice, the authentic goddesses of justice, the authentic goddess of justice, the synthetic God of justice, the synthetic gods of justice, the synthetic God of justice, the synthetic goddess of justice, the synthetic goddesses of justice, the synthetic goddess of justice, the progressive God of justice, the progressive gods of justice, the progressive God of justice, the progressive goddess of justice, the progressive goddesses of justice, the progressive goddess of justice, the regressive God of justice, the regressive gods of justice, the regressive god of justice, the regressive goddess of justice, the regressive goddesses of justice, the regressive goddess of justice, the ordinary god of justice, the ordinary gods of justice, the ordinary god of justice, the ordinary goddess of justice, the ordinary goddesses of justice, the ordinary goddess of justice, the extraordinary god of justice, the extraordinary gods of justice, the extraordinary god of justice, the extraordinary goddess of justice, the extraordinary goddesses of justice, the extraordinary goddess of justice, the static god of justice, the static gods of justice, the static god of justice, the static goddess of justice, the static goddesses of justice, the static goddess of justice, the dynamic god of justice, the dynamic gods of justice, the dynamic god of justice, the dynamic goddess of justice, the dynamic goddesses of justice, the dynamic goddess of justice, the land god of justice, the land gods of justice, the land god of justice, the land goddess of justice, the land goddesses of justice, the land goddess of justice, the sea god of justice, the sea gods of justice, the sea god of justice, the sea goddess of justice, the sea goddesses of justice, the sea goddess of justice, the sky god of justice, the sky gods of justice, the sky god of justice, the sky goddess of justice, the sky goddesses of justice, the sky goddess of justice, the god of justice, the gods of justice, the god of justice, the goddess of justice, the goddesses of justice, the goddess of justice, the half god of justice, the half gods of justice, the half god of justice, the half goddess of justice, the half goddesses of justice, the half goddess of justice, the vessel of justice, the vessels of justice, the vessel of justice, the name of justice, the names of justice, the name of justice, the person of justice, the persons of justice, the person of justice, the persona of justice, the personas of justice, the persona of justice, the personage of justice, the personages of justice, the personage of justice, the personality of justice, the personalities of justice, the personality of justice, the personification of justice, the personifications of justice, the personification of justice, the image of justice, the images of justice, the image of justice, the imagination of justice, the imaginations of justice, the imagination of justice, the belief of justice, the beliefs of justice, the belief of justice, the thought of justice, the thoughts of justice, the thought of justice, the word of justice, the words of justice, the word of justice, the action of justice, the actions of justice, the action of justice, the reaction of justice, the reactions of justice, the reaction of justice, the feeling of justice, the feelings of justice, the feeling of justice, the situation of justice, the situations of justice, the situation of justice, the circumstance of justice, the circumstances of justice, the circumstance of justice, the environment of justice, the environments of justice, the environment of justice, the relationship of justice, the relationships of justice, the relationship of justice, the number of justice, the numbers of justice, the number of justice, the formula of justice, the formulas of justice, the formula of justice, the equation of justice, the equations of justice, the equation of justice, the theory of justice, the theories of justice, the theory of justice, the symbol of justice, the symbols of justice, the symbol of justice, the color of justice, the colors of justice, the color of justice, the thing of justice, the things of justice, the thing of justice, the way of justice, the ways of justice, the way of justice, the place of justice, the places of justice, the place of justice, the time of justice, the times of justice, the time of justice, the event of justice, the events of justice, the event of justice, the result of justice, the results of justice, the result of justice, the crown of justice, the crowns of justice, the crown of justice, the throne of justice, the thrones of justice, the throne of justice, the justice king, the justice kings, the justice kingdom, the justice kingdoms, the justice king subject, the justice king subjects, the justice king's dominion, the justice king's dominions, the kingdom of justice, the kingdoms of justice, the kingdom of justice, the justice queen, the justice queens, the justice queendom, the justice queendoms, the justice queen subject, the justice queen subjects, the justice queen's dominion, the justice queen's dominions, the queendom of justice, the queendoms of justice, the queendom of justice, the justice prince, the justice princes, the justice princedom, the justice princedoms, the justice prince's subject, the justice prince's subjects, the justice prince's dominion, the justice prince's dominions, the princedom of justice, the princedoms of justice, the princedom of justice, the justice princess, the justice princesses, the justice princessdom, the justice princessdoms, the justice princess's subject, the justice princess's subjects, the justice princess's dominion, the justice princess's dominions, the princessdom of justice, the princessdoms of justice, the princessdom of justice, the lord of justice, the lords of justice, the lord of justice, the lordess of justice, the lordesses of justice, the lordess of justice, the priest of justice, the priests of justice, the priest of justice, the priestess of justice, the priestesses of justice, the priestess of justice, the ritual of justice, the rituals of justice, the ritual of justice, the shrine of justice, the shrines of justice, the shrine of justice, the temple of justice, the temples of justice, the temple of justice, the leader of justice, the leaders of justice, the leader of justice, the follower of justice, the followers of justice, the follower of justice, the natural substance of justice, the natural substances of justice, the natural substance of justice, the supernatural substance of justice, the supernatural substances of justice, the supernatural substance of justice, the temporal substance of justice, the temporal substances of justice, the temporal substance of justice, the spiritual substance of justice, the spiritual substances of justice, the spiritual substance of justice, the natural form of justice, the natural forms of justice, the natural form of justice, the supernatural form of justice, the supernatural forms of justice, the supernatural form of justice, the temporal form of justice, the temporal forms of justice, the temporal form of justice, the spiritual form of justice, the spiritual forms of justice, the spiritual form of justice, the age of justice, the ages of justice, the age of justice, the era of justice, the eras of justice, the era of justice, the awakener of justice, the awakeners of justice, the awakener of justice, the awakening of justice, the awakenings of justice, the awakening of justice, the realm of justice, the realms of justice, the realm of justice, the dimension of justice, the dimensions of justice, the dimension of justice, the zone of justice, the zones of justice, the zone of justice, the frequency of justice, the frequencies of justice, the frequency of justice, the century of justice, the centuries of justice, the century of justice, the millennium of justice, the millenniums of justice, the millennium of justice, the purpose of justice, the purposes of justice, the purpose of justice, the meaning of justice, the meanings of justice, the meaning of justice, the culture of justice, the cultures of justice, the culture of justice, the demonstrator of justice, the demonstrators of justice, the demonstrator of justice, the demonstration of justice, the demonstrations of justice, the demonstration of justice, the manifester of justice, the manifestors of justice, the manifester of justice, the manifestation of justice, the manifestations of justice, the manifestation of justice, the presence of justice, the presences of justice, the presence of justice, the glow of justice, the glows of justice, the glow of justice, the goal of justice, the goals of justice, the goal of justice, the plan of justice, the plans of justice, the plan of justice, the book of justice, the books of justice, the book of justice, the philosopher of justice, the philosophers of justice, the philosopher of justice, the philosophy of justice, the philosophies of justice, the philosophy of justice, the releaser of justice, the releasers of justice, the releaser of justice, the release of justice, the releases of justice, the release of justice, the variable of justice, the variables of justice, the variable of justice, the cause of justice, the causes of justice, the cause of justice, the effect of justice, the effects of justice, the effect of justice, the journey of justice, the journeys of justice, the journey of justice, the emergence of justice, the emergences of justice, the emergence of justice, the source of justice, the sources of justice, the source of justice, the originator of justice, the originators of justice, the originator of justice, the origin of justice, the origins of justice, the origin of justice, the forefather of justice, the forefathers of justice, the forefather of justice, the foremother of justice, the foremothers of justice, the foremother of justice, the ancestor of justice, the ancestors of justice, the ancestor of justice, the descendant of justice, the descendants of justice, the descendant of justice, the lineage of justice, the lineages of justice, the lineage of justice, the heritage of justice, the heritages of justice, the heritage of justice, the heir of justice, the heirs of justice, the heir of justice, the co-heir of justice, the co-heirs of justice, the co-heir of justice, the joint heir of justice, the joint heirs of justice, the joint heir of justice, the dynasty of justice, the dynasties of justice, the dynasty of justice, the force of justice, the forces of justice, the force of justice, the law of justice, the laws of justice, the law of justice, the pact of justice, the pacts of justice, the pact of justice, the game of justice, the games of justice, the game of justice, the mask of justice, the masks of justice, the mask of justice, the armor of justice, the armors of justice, the armor of justice, the sword of justice, the swords of justice, the sword of justice, the shield of justice, the shields of justice, the shield of justice, the force shield of justice, the force shields of justice, the force shield of justice, the armored force shield of justice, the armored force shields of justice, the armored force shield of justice, the champion of justice, the champions of justice, the champion of justice, the guardian of justice, the guardians of justice, the guardian of justice, the defender of justice, the defenders of justice, the defender of justice, the protector of justice, the protectors of justice, the protector of justice, the chant of justice, the chants of justice, the chant of justice, the shape of justice, the shapes of justice, the shape of justice, the cube of justice, the cubes of justice, the cube of justice, the cuboid of justice, the cuboids of justice, the cuboid of justice, the sphere of justice, the spheres of justice, the sphere of justice, the spheroid of justice, the spheroids of justice, the spheroid of justice, the prism of justice, the prisms of justice, the prism of justice, the pyramid of justice, the pyramids of justice, the pyramid of justice, the cylinder of justice, the cylinders of justice, the cylinder of justice, the cone of justice, the cones of justice, the cone of justice, the triangle of justice, the triangles of justice, the triangle of justice, the circle of justice, the circles of justice, the circle of justice, the semicircle of justice, the semicircles of justice, the semicircle of justice, the square of justice, the squares of justice, the square of justice, the rectangle of justice, the rectangles of justice, the rectangle of justice, the parallelogram of justice, the parallelograms of justice, the parallelogram of justice, the rhombus of justice, the rhombuses of justice, the rhombus of justice, the trapezoid of justice, the trapezoids of justice, the trapezoid of justice, the polygon of justice, the polygons of justice, the polygon of justice, the pentagon of justice, the pentagons of justice, the pentagon of justice, the hexagon of justice, the hexagons of justice, the hexagon of justice, the septagon of justice, the septagons of justice, the septagon of justice, the octagon of justice, the octagons of justice, the octagon of justice, the nonagon of justice, the nonagons of justice, the nonagon of justice, the decagon of justice, the decagons of justice, the decagon of justice, the evolution of justice, the evolutions of justice, the evolution of justice, the revolution of justice, the revolutions of justice, the revolution of justice, the elemental art of justice, the elemental arts of justice, the elemental art of justice, the elemental science of justice, the elemental sciences of justice, the elemental science of justice, the elemental principle of justice, the elemental principles of justice, the elemental principle of justice, the elemental technology of justice, the elemental technologies of justice, the elemental technology of justice, the low elemental art of justice, the low elemental arts of justice, the low elemental art of justice, the low elemental science of justice, the low elemental sciences of justice, the low elemental science of justice, the low elemental principle of justice, the low elemental principles of justice, the low elemental principle of justice, the low elemental technology of justice, the low elemental technologies of justice, the low elemental technology of justice, the high elemental art of justice, the high elemental arts of justice, the high elemental art of justice, the high elemental science of justice, the high elemental sciences of justice, the high elemental science of justice, the high elemental principle of justice, the high elemental principles of justice, the high elemental principle of justice, the high elemental technology of justice, the high elemental technologies of justice, the high elemental technology of justice, the agent of justice, the agents of justice, the agent of justice, the agency of justice, the agencies of justice, the agency of justice, the amplifier of justice, the amplifiers of justice, the amplifier of justice, the amplification of justice, the amplifications of justice, the amplification of justice, the enhancer of justice, the enhancers of justice, the enhancer of justice, the enhancement of justice, the enhancements of justice, the enhancement of justice, the magnifier of justice, the magnifiers of justice, the magnifier of justice, the magnification of justice, the magnifications of justice, the magnification of justice, the influencer of justice, the influencers of justice, the influencer of justice, the influence of justice, the influences of justice, the influence of justice, the emanator of justice, the emanators of justice, the emanator of justice, the emanation of justice, the emanations of justice, the emanation of justice, the converger of justice, the convergers of justice, the converger of justice, the convergence of justice, the convergences of justice, the convergence of justice, the aura of justice, the auras of justice, the aura of justice, the impression of justice, the impressions of justice, the impression of justice, the intelligence of justice, the intelligences of justice, the intelligence of justice, the sophistication of justice, the sophistications of justice, the sophistication of justice, the genius of justice, the geniuses of justice, the genius of justice, the polymath of justice, the polymaths of justice, the polymath of justice, the psychic of justice, the psychics of justice, the psychic of justice, the knowledge of justice, the knowledges of justice, the knowledge of justice, the understanding of justice, the understandings of justice, the understanding of justice, the wisdom of justice, the wisdoms of justice, the wisdom of justice, the secret of justice, the secrets of justice, the secret of justice, the mystery of justice, the mysteries of justice, the mystery of justice, the revelation of justice, the revelations of justice, the revelation of justice, the tactic of justice, the tactics of justice, the tactic of justice, the strategy of justice, the strategies of justice, the strategy of justice, the strength of justice, the strengths of justice, the strength of justice, the might of justice, the mights of justice, the might of justice, the power of justice, the powers of justice, the power of justice, the authority of justice, the authorities of justice, the authority of justice, the dominion of justice, the dominions of justice, the dominion of justice, the rhythm of justice, the rhythms of justice, the rhythm of justice, the melody of justice, the melodies of justice, the melody of justice, the music of justice, the musics of justice, the music of justice, the lyric of justice, the lyrics of justice, the lyric of justice, the song of justice, the songs of justice, the song of justice, the dance of justice, the dances of justice, the dance of justice, the spirit of justice, the spirits of justice, the spirit of justice, the soul of justice, the souls of justice, the soul of justice, the body of justice, the bodies of justice, the body of justice, the mark of justice, the marks of justice, the mark of justice, the promise of justice, the promises of justice, the promise of justice, the visionary of justice, the visionaries of justice, the visionary of justice, the vision of justice, the visions of justice, the vision of justice, the picture of justice, the pictures of justice, the picture of justice, the sound of justice, the sounds of justice, the sound of justice, the tongue of justice, the tongues of justice, the tongue of justice, the language of justice, the languages of justice, the language of justice, the communication of justice, the communications of justice, the communication of justice, the people of justice, the peoples of justice, the people of justice, the society of justice, the societies of justice, the society of justice, the fortress of justice, the fortresses of justice, the fortress of justice, the government of justice, the governments of justice, the government of justice, the city of justice, the cities of justice, the city of justice, the nation of justice, the nations of justice, the nation of justice, the civilization of justice, the civilizations of justice, the civilization of justice, the world of justice, the worlds of justice, the world of justice,